Some have given up. But if you grasp what I'm about to tell you, you will never be confused about your life again. I pray the Lord give you understanding. You didn't come into this world to be an experiment. Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nations." God says, before I formed you. I'm trying to show you a God who has a plan for your life. You didn't come into this world to be experimented on. Isaiah 46:9-10. Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things that are not yet done, saying, My counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Whenever you read your Bible and you hear God say, I am God, He's about to say something. He's provoked by something or somebody. So anytime you see God say, I am God, He's about to tell you something powerful. God says, I am God, and there is none like me. He's about to tell you the difference between Him and every other so-called gods. They can't declare a man's future before he starts. But our God says, I declare the end from the beginning. God doesn't wait for you to get to the end before He tells you your future. That's why sometimes we think God is confused when He speaks to us. God speaking to Abraham said in Romans 4:17, As it is written, I have made you a father of many nations, in the presence of him whom he believed. God, who gives life to the dead and calls those things which do not exist as though they did. He said, I have made you. When He told him, the man had no child. Abraham is confused, and God went further and changed his name to make it worse. So he's walking around, and his friends are laughing at him. Your name is Abraham? Father? You haven't got one child yet. But God says, I have made you. Was He lying? He was not. Whenever God tells you something, He's not trying to be nice. He's telling you how He works. God lives in a realm called eternity. You live in time. Before God starts anything in time, He has finished it in eternity. That's why even when you made a mistake, let's say at 19 years old, He brings your mistake, folds it into the plan, and if you're serious, you can still catch up. Because the plan is already finished in eternity. God doesn't wake up in the morning saying, what do I do with this child of mine? You're the one who wakes up confused. There is a principle called the blueprint principle. So here's what happens. God finishes your life in eternity. Then He puts you in your mother's womb in time and starts your life. So when God speaks to you at any time, He speaks to you from where He lives, in eternity. That's why when He said to Abraham, I have made you a father, it's because in eternity, Abraham already had a child, but in time, he had none. But God cannot lie. So He doesn't say, I will give you a child. He says, I have made you a father, because in eternity, it's done. So God's language is confusing to us because He speaks from eternity. That's why a man of God will prophesy over you and say, I see you as this, and you're confused. Because you look at yourself and say, but I'm not that. But the Spirit of God is speaking to you from a place of eternity. The principle of destiny in the kingdom is called the blueprint principle. That means you are to become on earth what He has finished in heaven. Let me show you an example. This is Shalom. This is in eternity. God made her like this in eternity, and then put her in her mother's womb as a baby. So when God speaks to her in time, He speaks to her from this place. Her job in life is to discover the blueprint. Otherwise, she will be confused. Her job is to discover, what am I in eternity? Listen to me. If you get what I'm telling you right now, there's no more confusion. You stop leading a confused life. Your job is to find out. What am I in eternity? And trace the path. You see, in God's path for her to get here, there is a person here. Now let's say, before she gets to this person, she makes a mistake. And then she corrects herself. God can bring her back to this person. You know why? Because the plan is finished. He's not trying to do anything for this child. He's done it already. So when he speaks to her and says, "You are great," she is confused. Because God is looking at her here. She is looking at herself here. That's why, when he appeared to Gideon, he said, "You mighty man." Even though Gideon was hiding food like a coward, but God called him mighty man. Gideon was confused and said, "I'm the least." Wait a minute. God is speaking from eternity. But the moment Gideon accepts who he is in eternity, he was able to defeat the Amalekites with 300 men. A coward. Because when God shows you eternity, you become bold in time.